job down there. Doing a super job. Brother Chris.
Chris Lee, missionary to Nigeria.
All right. Man.
I'm Neil.
God bless you.
Mike, that's like missionary to Okinawa.
Amen, Brother Mike.
JackHyles-dot-com.
Amen.
Hey!
God bless you.
Mike West, Associate Bus Director, Liberty in Charlotte.
Amen.
Hey. Ronnie Wise, Youth Pastor at Liberty in Charlotte.
Amen.
Gary Bear, the pastor of the Liberty Baptist in Charlotte. Next month we'll be attending the Billy Graham Crusade.
Yeah.
Two wonderful groups to be singing. Charlie Daniels Band.
Yeah.
See the rap.
Charles.
Amen.
Doug Carter, youth pastor at Charlotte Baptist.
Don Myers, Pastor White. DJ Parker Black Silvertail.
Aaron Coons, Youth Director, Music Director, East Coast Baptist. Amen.
Jerry Carter, Regional Baptist.
Amen.
Dan Dickerson, pastor of Whistle Pine Baptist Church, Hartsville,
Good
South
to see
Carolina.
you, brother.
Third Secretary, Laurel Hill.
Amen.
Larry Whitmer, Landmark Creek.
Amen. God bless. I appreciate you folks coming. I surely do. Good to have a couple of our missionaries with us. Most of these guys are soul-winning missionaries. They're the kind you need.
Amen.
The rest of them aren't worth shooting. Just
Right.
forget about having.
Oh,
Missionary comes to our church, doesn't go out soul winning and try to bring folks down the aisle. I won't even think about supporting.
come on now.
Most of them won't even get here to the door anyway.
Yeah.
We got a little questionnaire they send out, and about 2/3 of them won't even send it back, which is fine with me. 32 cents is a lot cheaper trying to feed a missionary. So they don't even get near the place, so it works out well. But I appreciate you folks coming. I appreciate your faithfulness. Remember, the service is at 7:30 tonight, and we're looking forward to a great time tonight. And so you make plans to be here. 7 o'clock, excuse me, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. Thank you. You come at 7:30, you'll have to sit outside somewhere. But 7 o'clock, and I encourage you to be here early. The place was pretty packed last night, and a good crowd for Tuesday morning. I appreciate you coming and being with us. West Side Trio is going to sing again.
That my Savior still
messages. I appreciate the music and all that goes on. Mark and Steve, they were here when I came, one of the few folks that was here when I came over 14 years ago. And I told me the other Sunday night, they kind of stuck it out and trained me as we went along, all right? It was my first time pastoring, and we kind of trained each other. I don't think they hadn't seen anything like me, well, at least before what was here anyways. Someone from Bonner's Orange University was here before me, and we messed up everything. They started singing about the blood and the King James Bible and everything else and ruined everybody. Well, I'm so glad Brother Hyles with us. It's an honor. It is an honor. Every 3 years we get to, well, the last 6 years we've had him, or 3 years in advance we schedule him and get to have him with us. And I look forward to that day. I'm looking for the Lord to come, but when it gets close to the meeting, I said, Lord, it could be after the meeting, after Brother Hyles is with us. And we need him.
Yes,
we
sir.
need him.
Yes, sir.
And I was so thrilled to get his tapes in February and hear of his goals for the next 10 to 15 years. I said, let's get him. Boy, I'm about ready to resign and go up there and help him get him, man. I love it. I love it. We need Brother Hyles. And I thank the Lord. He's with us. He's our friend and a friend of preachers. And we want to hear him well tonight, this morning if he comes.
Amen.
Thank you so much. I'm so delighted to hear that message Dr. Neal preached a while ago.
Amen.
I heard him preach it before. I told him this. I said, Dr. John Rice used to say that a sermon really does not reach its best potential until after it's preached 25 times. And I said, I want you to preach that, and preach it, and preach it, and preach it. And boy, I want to hear it after the 25th time. I heard it twice, and both times it rang the bell. I believe everything he said. Everything he said. You know, these are days, or all days have been days of identification. With whom do you identify yourself? That's the big thing. And then, of course, Dr. Haynes, I'm so proud of him. I recall when he was in school, he and his wife sat right where they're sitting right now, on the front row, every single service. And what a wonderful work these two men have done. Don't tell me what you believe, show me what you're doing. And these fellows have done a wonderful job. And by the way, they're sort of like the preacher that said God called him to heal the dead, cast out the sick, and raise the devils. And but these are gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
They're gentlemen. I know them. They're two of the most gracious men I know, and two of the most thoughtful men I know. So you don't know all that goes on outside the pulpit. You don't know that when Dr. Carl Hatch had his serious accident, that he's been kept alive and been fed largely by Dr. Tom Neal. You don't know that. You critics haven't sent Dr. Hatch a postcard.
Come on now.
But you don't know the things that Dr. Tom Neal and these other fellows do.
That's right.
And so just shut up. Open your Bibles, please. Doesn't matter where, it's all good. If you have a King James Bible. If you don't open your psalm book, it's more inspired than the Bible.
Preach.
Boy, it's good to be free, you know. And Matthew chapter number 13. Matthew chapter number 13. Let me have that mic over there. Oh, it's here. I'm just going to read 2 verses this morning, and then I want to speak to you on the subject. That you're not going to like the title of my message. I want to speak on the subject, that which is new is right. There's silence in heaven with his face clear. Glad to hear you're finally wise enough over here, Dr. Billy Graham. I don't think I mentioned this last night. I may have mentioned it recently. I got a letter several years ago when I was a younger man from a lady. And she said, I want to thank God, you Dr. Hyles, She said, I'm glad that some younger men are coming on to take the place of Billy Graham, Oral Roberts, and Catherine Kuhlman. So I'm glad that some younger men are coming on to take the place of Billy Graham and Jimmy Swaggart. I am going to speak this morning, and don't crucify me yet till I tell you what I'm preaching on or preach the sermon. But I want to speak on the subject, that which is new is right. In Matthew chapter 13, verse 51, Jesus said unto them, Have ye understood all these things? They say unto him, Yea, Lord. Then said he unto them, Therefore every scribe which is instructed in the kingdom of heaven is likened to a man that is an householder, which bringeth forth out of his treasure things new and old. I want to call your attention to that little line, which bringeth forth out of his treasure things new and old. Our Heavenly Father, I want to be a blessing. That's all I want. Everywhere I've ever dreamed I'd preach, I've been there and more than there. I have no goals or aspirations of certain conventions to preach at. I preached at them. There's not a Baptist convention in America that even has ever claimed to be Bible believer where I haven't preached. So all my dreams have been fulfilled in more. Now the rest of my life, I just want to be a blessing to the people of God.
Amen.
Help me to be that this morning, please. Amen. Get my microphone here all fixed up. Testing. Now get yours all fixed up. Okay. Testing. Won't you test yours out and see if it's okay? Now this morning I want your minds. I want you to follow me logically. I turn me down. There's a little ring in this right now. And I want your minds. I want you to follow me logically as I speak this morning. I'm going to sort of psychoanalyze Bob Gray, Tom Neal, Mike Haynes, and other retardos. I sort of like the fellow who said his brother was at State University. He said, what's he studying? He said, they're studying him. And so I want to study this crowd this morning. Now, in order to get to the message, I want to give you a few little illustrations. Several years ago, our high school was playing a basketball game. Our high school boys, their basketball shorts go down to their knees. Their thighs are not exposed when they play. Our cheerleaders have skirts. Those skirts go down to their knees. And nobody sees anything above their knees when they cheer. We expect not only our cheerleaders to do that, but we expect the cheerleaders that come to play against us to do that. So we send out a letter to all the teams that come and play against us, and we tell them that they'll abide by our dress code while they're in our gymnasium. You say, Brother Hyles, I don't like that. Well, I'm sorry, we don't give you a vote. Like my deacons don't even have a vote. You say, what do you got there? A dictatorship? No, but it's close to it. It's hard to tell the difference. And it's not a dictatorship. We just get my way, that's all. And we just do it my way. I tell my people, if you don't like my way, just fire me. I'll go down to Florida. I'll be 70 years old. I can retire, get my Social Security, get me a pair of Bermuda shorts, take my wife to Florida, and we can play shuffleboard the rest of our lives, and I can watch my wife's varicose veins get bigger. So, anyway, we're playing a basketball game, and we send out letters and tell them that they abide by our rules. So, I was preaching in Atlanta, Georgia on Monday night. We were having a basketball game against Wheaton High School. God deliver me from ever doing it again. But we had a basketball game against Wheaton High School. They received our letter that they'd abide by our dress code, and we told them what our dress codes are. Our dress code is. Well, I flew to Atlanta, Georgia that Monday night, and my plane couldn't land because of an ice storm. They didn't even try to land. They just turned around and flew back to Chicago. So happened that I went to the ball game. Nobody knew I was coming. Everybody thought I was preaching in Atlanta. I walked in. It was about the middle of the first half, I guess, maybe in the middle of the first quarter. And I think it was the middle of the first quarter. I walked in the gymnasium there, and there were the Wheaton High School cheerleaders flipping around like that and showing their thighs. So I walked in. It was a winter night. I walked in, took off my overcoat, took off my hat, walked out to center court and intercepted the pass. Stopped the game in progress. I got the microphone. I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is not what this school was started for. Some of you guys that have your schools playing these public schools in football and basketball, you can get right with God. So anyway, I stopped the game. And I said, we have a rule here that all the cheerleaders dress modestly and that they do cheers. And by the way, we don't have a second-rate chorus line either. You don't show our thighs in public, but we don't do all those cheers that are more than little dances. I like the cheers we used to have when I was a boy. Yay blue, yay white, yay bulldogs, fight, fight, fight. I like that. Or oxskin, pigskin, any kind of leather. We can beat the bulldogs any kind of weather. I like that. Or Dr. Pepper, Coca-Cola, any kind of pop. We can beat the bulldogs any kind of slop. I like those cheers you tell when I was a kid. But so I walked out, got the microphone, said, ladies and gentlemen, I said the game is over unless the Wheaton High School cheerleaders get over there and put their overcoats over their legs. That's not what this was started for. So the Wheaton High School principal came out to the middle of the court, and he said, you've got a bad spirit. I said, look, I've worked for years to get this bad spirit, and I'm going to nourish it. And I said, first place, like the Neil said this morning, it's not me that has a bad spirit, it's you that has a bad spirit. We wrote you a letter. Did you get that letter? The whole crowd's hearing both of us. I said, did you get that letter? He said, yes, I did. I said, did the letter say that you could not show your knees or thighs of the cheerleaders in our gymnasium? He said, yes, we did. I said, then you came as a deceiver and to our gymnasium. And I said, now, unless your cheerleaders get over there and cover up their knees and thighs the rest of this game with their overcoats, the game is canceled. You say, what did your deacons think about that? Don't know, didn't ask them. I haven't asked them yet. And so they did. And by the way, I went over there after they did and sat down with their cheerleaders, started buying some hot dogs and popcorn and cold drinks. And by the time the game was over, their cheerleaders like me, or they were mad at their principal. Because a guy that has principles also has love. If you don't love principles, you don't love people. You don't love truth, you don't love people, because principles and truth are that which make people. If you don't love principles and don't love truth, then you love yourself, because you're trying to get yourself to become lovable rather than getting the people to have love and have principles. I may never get to my sermon. I got 4 illustrations here before I get to the sermon. Hyles College. We have a rule in our college that our piano recitals are not just simply classical music recitals. We're not trying to train Liberace's, we're trying to train Rudy Atwood's in our piano department. And so we have a rule that I think it's only 2 of the have 10 numbers in a piano recital. 8 of them must be gospel songs, and only 2 can be classical music. Well, one of our music professors tried to test me on that. And I picked up a recital, a program one day, and it had 9 classical numbers. Now, I like classics. Bach is my favorite. I love Bach. I love Carry Me Bach to Old Virginia. I love that. And I love Bach in the Hills where I was born. You know what most of our culture is? It's those that don't like stuff trying to make people think they do like that stuff. That's all it is. Nobody likes opera. Nobody likes Italian opera. Some fat woman up there singing in foreign language. Nobody likes that. It's a bunch of folks that don't like it trying to convince each other that they do like it, because you're supposed to like it in order to be cultural, you know. So that's one reason why there's one college in America, we just tell it like it is, you know. And whoever thought of that idea right there? Passing out these baseball cards, our pictures on, I'll kill him. It's hard enough to sign Bibles every night, much less signing 4 or 5 cards. One was up here on the platform. And so I got this piano recital Now, if you musicians don't like this, I don't care. I can retire and go to Florida and get the shorts. But anyway, I got the platform, I got the program and took it to the pulpit of First Baptist Church, Hammond. I held it up and I said, this concert is canceled. This recital is canceled. We're not going to turn Hyles-Anderson College into Bob Jones North. And I'm making myself clear. And so I used to live in the house. That's a bad spirit. Yes, I know. Yes, I know. I've got a bad spirit about felt like Bach more than Fanny Crosby. I got an awful bad spirit about it. Next illustration. I was walking down the hallway at Hyles-Anderson College and saw one of our staff members, been there for years, a staff member, and graduate of our college, in a pair of culottes that you could tell were culottes. Now we have a rule at Hyles-Anderson College that if you can tell it's not a dress, then you can't wear it. You got to be like it. And I have my Baptist school, First Baptist Church, and so I could see. The way you tell it is you can see a little light between the legs. Okay, how full they are. So I just called an emergency faculty meeting and threw a fit. F-I-T, fit. H-I-S-S-Y, hissy. I'm explaining my position, and I want to explain why we have the position. Illustration number 4. We have a little league. We don't believe that our boys and girls should play in the secular little leagues. So First Baptist Church is rather big, so we have about 14 teams, a little league team. We have our own. And it's just like the others except Christian. We have uniforms, we have our own ball fields, and we have our own umpires, we have our own fights with umpires, except we don't curse, we use other words. So, now, in our little league, the rule is that you dress according to our standards. You come as a spectator to our little league, you don't wear shorts. Now, that's male or female. You don't wear shorts. Last week, we were painting one of our buildings inside the rooms, and one of our members volunteering his time, a man was down there in shorts. I walked over and saw him and said, go and put some pants on before you paint our building. So, our rule, our little league is that if you're a spectator, you just drive by and see our games and stop and watch. If you've got shorts on, we come and tell you to go home. Not long ago, my son was up for a vacation from Florida, and his son was there, and he's about 13 years old, and they didn't know our rules, and he was not a sinful pair, but he just happened to wear shorts to the little league, short cut down to there, to the little league ball game. Well, I wasn't there, of course. I was out preaching somewhere. But my principal of my junior high school, Tom Vogel, who's also the commissioner of the Little League, he walks up to Dr. Hyles' grandson and says, you can't stay at the game. Boy, you talk about taking your life in your own hand. He took a stand against the dictator's grandson. It's like going to Cuba and telling Castro's grandson to shut up. He said, now, son, you cannot stay at our game like that. Now, he said, we do have some sweatpants here that we keep for people that don't know our standards, and he made a good friend of my grandson and went and got him some sweatpants. And you said, what did you do? I fired Tom Vogel. Of course I did. No, I gave him public recognition and honor because of the stand that he took. I went to our church library one day, and I haven't got to my sermon yet. I went to my church library one day, and I found one of the fake Bibles in there. Say, what's a fake Bible? Anything other than King James. So I took them all out and burned them and closed the church library. We don't have a church library anymore. Not going to have one. Can't control it, burn it. So we don't have one. I burned most of the books, by the way. Now, you say, Brother Hyles, what are you trying to say? I don't know, but these are all good stories. Now, logic with me for a while. Even the folks that don't like me, logic with me. And those that do, I want both of you to listen very carefully now while we talk. The Jews were particularly tenacious about tradition. The Athenians, on the other hand, were always wanting to hear or tell something brand new. To them, novelty was excellence, and anything familiar must be discarded simply because it is or was familiar. Now we have the same groups today. Don't leave me now. Leave me. Watch me. Listen carefully. We have the same groups today. We have those groups that want to tenaciously hold to that which is old. Then we have those groups that want to have something new, and unless it's novel, it's really not worth investigating or trying. Now, I want to tell you this morning, we have the conservative versus the liberal. We have the fundamental versus the new evangelical. And the truth is, we have the same battle. Shall we embrace the old, or shall we discard the old and approach the new? Now this morning, I want to tell you that I'm for the crowd that wants to have the new. That's right. But I want to decide what the new is.
Yes, sir.
You see. Now, we've got to discover, see, what is the new? How can we tell which new is right? Now, all of us know that some of the old, Jesus came, and I'll get to that in a few minutes, but we've got to decide which new is right. Now, listen carefully. Here is the premise. The new, that new is right and is of God if it is deeper and stricter than the old.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's good.
In the Bible, every time Jesus brought out something new, it was simply more of the old.
Yes, sir.
And it was always deeper and stricter than the old.
Yes, sir.
Let me illustrate what I mean here. I'll show you what I'm talking about right here. Now, Jesus came to fulfill the law. He said, I've not come to destroy the law, but to fulfill the law. So the law was not filled yet when Jesus came.
Right.
So Jesus came and took more of the old and poured more of the old, and when he did it, he got water all over the pulpit. And he poured more of the old. So I gave you something new there, but the something new was just more of the old. So it's of God if it is more of the old. It's of God if it's stricter. All right, let's apply that today. Let's apply it to Mr. Hyles and Mr. MacArthur and their cell block Christianity. And they ought to be in jail. That's where it ought to be. But let's apply it. Now, that's not more of the old. That's doing away with the old. The new, which substitutes for the old, is not of God. The new, which is an addition to the old and more of the old, is of God. Let me have your logic now. Illustration. The old said, thou shalt not commit adultery. But Jesus comes along with the new and says, but I say unto you, he that looketh at a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. So the new, yes, I'm for the new, but the new is simply an extension of the old. So it is stricter and it's more of the same. Now, you rascals that are compromisers, you want to water something down. That's your new. Our new is, let's have more of the old. Our new is, we're not only against adultery, we're against looking at a woman to lust after, and that's why we're against mixed swimming, and that's why we're against wearing shorts in public, and that's why we're for modest dress, and that's why we don't believe in women wearing pants, because we believe that Jesus came to give us more of the old and not substitute for the old. For example, the old said, thou shalt not kill. Jesus comes along and says, it hath been said, thou shalt not kill. But I say unto you, he that is angry with his brother without a cause is in danger of the judgment. So the old said, thou shalt not kill. In every case, if it's of God, it is stronger than what it used to be. In every case, if it's of God, it is a strengthening of the old, an addition to the old, and filling fuller the glass of the old to the top. So consequently, the old said, thou shalt not commit adultery, and the new said, you shouldn't look at a woman to lust after her. The old said, thou shalt not kill. The new said, you shouldn't even be angry at anybody without a cause. For example, the old said, love thy neighbor. I like this. Oh, love thy neighbor. Now, the new comes along and says, love your enemy also. And that's one reason why I know I'm of God. Because these pussyfooters don't have any enemies. How can they obey that? How can you love your enemy without any enemies? Tom Neal hasn't got in trouble loving his enemies. He has more opportunity than anybody I know of. I have no trouble loving my enemies. I'm running a close second to can't have a horse to save my life. Anyway, I have enough anyway. I can obey that. But the old said, love your neighbor. But the new said, I say unto you, love your enemy also. So the new is always of God, only if it is stronger and stricter than the old. Illustration. The old said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. If a guy knocks your eye out, knock his eye out. If a guy knocks your tooth out, knock his tooth out. That's the old, you see. But the new said that if he smites you on the right cheek, turn the left. Who's out there? I don't want to miss anything. Let's all look at it right quick. Oh, it's a train going by. Look at it. You never have seen a train before, have you? Everybody looking over that can't figure out what it was. You're idiots, that's what you are. You're crazy. So, the old said, an eye for an eye and tooth for tooth. But the new said, if a man smites you on the right cheek, turn the other cheek. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying, the way you tell whether the new is of God. I can tell you Bill Hyles is not of God because he substituted the new for the old. Right. I can tell you that Jack Hyles is of God because he added to the old. So the truth is there's nothing new under the sun, says Ecclesiastes chapter 1:9. And so anything that's new is not new to God. And the truth is, if it's of God, it is stricter than it was before. You see, as we get more light, we're more responsible. So consequently, as we get more light and more revelation, we are more responsible. For example, the old said, if I ask you to go a mile, go with him a mile. But the new said, if a man asks you to go a mile, go with him twain. Go 2 miles with him. Are you following me? So the new is simply continuing farther on down the same road of the old. Well, the old has passed away. No, it hasn't. The new has come and has gone farther down the same road than the old. Illustration. Old said, if a fella goes to court to get your coat, give him your coat. But the new said, if a fella goes to court to get your coat, give him your coat and give him your overcoat also. Or your cloak also. You understand what I'm trying to say? Some of you pussyfooters trying to, well, the old has passed away. Yes, you're exactly right, but the new is simply more than the same that the old was. Now, why don't you just admit the fact that you're chicken, you're scared, you got a yellow spine, you're yellow-bellied, you're a pussyfooter, you're a compromiser, you're a sissy, you're a fake, and you don't want to take the old. Now, the truth is, God never came to do away with the old. God came to extend the old. And the new is just more of the old. Illustration. Jesus came to fulfill the law. The old wasn't full. The law wasn't full with the old. Jesus came to fill it up. He added more. That's what Romans 13:10 means when it says love is the full filling of the law. It didn't say love is the substitution for the law. It said love is the full filling of the law. The law was half a glass. The love is to add and fill up the whole glass with more of what was in the glass before. Oh, that's good. Illustration. The old said, whosoever should put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. But the new said you shouldn't put away your wife except for fornication. It is stricter than the old. Anytime, that's why we take a stand against the Southern Baptist new junk. That's why we take a stand against these people that don't have Sunday night service anymore. Have little cell block meetings in their homes. That's not, brother, if you're going to have something new, have more preaching than less preaching. Don't substitute movies for preaching. Have longer preaching. That's what Jesus came to do. Don't substitute preaching with drama. Hyles-Anderson College doesn't have a drama department. Hyles-Anderson College has never had a drama department. As long as the old man can live and breathe, Hyles-Anderson College is not going to have a drama department. Hyles-Anderson College does not, has not, and will not, as long as I'm alive, have a cinema department. The only thing I like in cinema is a role, bless God. We don't make any movies. Now, you'd be surprised. I walk guard around that thing all the time. Every once in a while, some young person in our college reads some book by somebody, wants to start something. The only thing I'm interested in starting is a fight. But not a new fight. I want to continue the old fight. Luke 17:10 is an interesting verse. We are unprofitable servants. We have done that which is our duty to do. We are unprofitable servants. Because all we did was that which was our duty to do. But the new says, go beyond the duty. The old said, don't kill. The new said, don't hate. The old said, don't commit adultery. The new said, don't look at a woman and lust after her. The old said, go a mile. The new said, go 2 miles. The old said, give him your coat. The new said, give him your cloak. In every case, the new is stricter because it accompanies more light. The new is just more of the old. The new is just going farther down the old road and discovery of more old. So, if it takes away soul winning, it's not of God. If it extends soul winning, it is of God. If it takes away or de-emphasizes the blood, it's not of God. If it re-emphasizes the blood, it is of God. If it over-emphasizes the blood, it is of God. Why? We have more light. Last Sunday night, question and answer time, a little lady stood up, and she said, Brother Hyles, how come it's okay in the Old Testament for a fellow to have more than one wife? It's not okay now. I said it wasn't okay in the Old Testament.
That's right.
But I said in the book of Genesis, they didn't have Romans 7. They didn't have 1 Corinthians 7 or Matthew chapter 7. They didn't have the New Testament. They didn't have the epistles of Paul. They didn't have the prophets. They didn't have the Psalms. They didn't have the Proverbs. They didn't even have the Pentateuch in the book of Genesis. They didn't have it. And so because of that, it was wrong to have more than one wife then, but it was not as wrong. The Bible says in Acts 17:30, the times of ignorance God winked at. Well, God must be winking at a bunch of you folks. The times of ignorance God winked at. Now, it was wrong to have more than one wife, but it's more wrong now. I said to my young people last Sunday night, I said, across the street over there is a Catholic, they call it a church, a Catholic church. All Saints. I call it no Saints, but All Saints Catholic Church. Now I said, one of those young people over there to listen to rock music is sinful. But not as sinful as it is for one of you, my young people, listen to rock music. Because that rascal over there never says a word against rock music. But the rascal over here does say some words against rock music. And the more light you have, the more responsible you are. And that's why that it's stricter on us than it was on the... Jesus said 4 times in the Gospels, it is more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah than for some cities, Bethsaida, Corrèze, and Tyre and Sidon, because of the work that had been done in you had been done in them, they would have repented a long time ago. I'm trying to tell you that the new is simply stricter and harder than the old because we have more light than they have.
Yes, sir.
So, let's agree then. Let me give you an example. Let's go back to more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah. Anybody here got any idea what Sodom means? It means queers.
Right.
That means God hated homosexuality in Genesis, and God turned Sodom and Gomorrah into a lake of fire and brimstone and destroyed it. But that means that the queers in 1996 are more responsible than the queers back yonder in Genesis.
Right. Yes, sir. Right, sir.
Fellow walked up to me. Okay, for example, the I was on the airplane.
Amen.
I was talking to a queer. I read in these verses, for this cause God gave them up to vile affections, Romans 1:26. For even their women did change the natural use and that which was against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meat, and God, and even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind. God calls homosexuality a reprobate mind. But I said, you're more wicked than Sodom and Gomorrah was. He said, but Reverend, he said it's just a lifestyle. He said it's in the genes. I said, oh, poppycock.
Right.
You ever see a bull chasing a bull trying to make love to him? Did you ever go out in a pasture somewhere and see a hen chasing a hen, trying to romance a hen? Did you ever see a rooster trying to make out with a rooster? Did you ever see a heifer after a heifer? No, it is not a lifestyle. It is dirty, wicked, rotten, stinking, sorry, future sin. It's worse to do it today than it was back down in the book of Genesis, because we have more light than they had. And the only change that God ever makes to give us something new is to give us stricter and more of the old, because more light has been given to us and we're more responsible. So, let's agree that tithing is done away with. Let's just agree. Some of you missionary Baptists. Let's just agree that tithing is done away with. All right? Hear me carefully now. If the old said no adultery and the new said no lust, and the old said no killing and the new said no hating, and the old said 1 mile and the new said 2 miles, and the old said give me a coat and the new says give you overcoat too. If in every case of change it is stricter and farther down the same road, I'm willing to give up tithing. It'll increase our offering. Because if tithing's done away with, everything that God's ever done away with, He's made it stricter and more of the same. So how about 15%? Let's agree. Let's agree that Deuteronomy 22:5 done away with. That a man shouldn't wear that which pertains to a woman, and a woman shouldn't wear that which pertains to a man. Let's agree with that. Let's go back to our premise now. If the old said you can't kill, and the new was stricter and said you can't hate, and if the old said go a mile, and the new was stricter, and the new said go 2 miles, then I'm willing to do away with Deuteronomy 22:5 if it's okay with you. But it sure is going to change it more strict than it is now. So, I guess that means that it's going to be more strict than just not wearing pants. We have a basketball player in Chicago. His name is Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman. Now, let me tell you, if you folks don't know what he's done. The guy wrote a book. He put on a woman's dress, a woman's boa around his neck, fur boa, painted himself with lipstick, and went down to the bookstore and signed his books wearing a woman's dress and a female boa and women's earrings and women's makeup on, lipstick and powder and rouge and all the rest of it, and signed. The other day, he announced he was going to get married. He showed up in a woman's wedding dress. Didn't get married. Showed up in one. You say, you mean a basketball player, a real man wearing a dress? Yeah, I can tell you something worse than that. A woman wearing pants. You get disgusted about Dennis Rodman. Why? Because he's wearing that which pertains to a woman. Well, how about you, husband? How about you ladies getting disgusted then with all this pant wearing crowd we got around here today? If Deuteronomy 22:5 is done away with, it is stricter than it was and not less strict than it was. How dare you refute my logic? Show me anywhere in the Bible where God ever substituted something new, something weaker than the old.
Right. Good.
I got some of you girls with their hair short right now. You know it. I'll get to that in a while.
Yeah.
Let's agree that 1 Corinthians 11:14, where it says it's a shame for a man to have long hair. Let's agree that that's done away with. The God that always, when he adds something new, simply fills up the glass with more of the same. And the new is always stricter than the old, and the new is always just going down, farther down the same road than the old. If it's safe for a man to have long hair, and that's done away with, then we're going to have to get stricter than the haircuts we got now, and all of us have to shave our heads. And mustaches. I'm not a debater. I don't spend my time wasting my time debating. But if I ever do debate, the first thing I'm going to do is get one of these Southern Baptists or New Evangelical Independent Baptists, and I like to debate them in a stadium seating 100,000 people on this subject I'm talking about right now. There is no answer to what I'm preaching right now. There's not an answer at all. God always, when he does away with something, puts something stricter, and it's more of what he did away with. I've been looking forward to getting down to this one. Let's agree that 1 Corinthians 14:34 is done away with. It says the woman's supposed to keep silence in the churches. So our charismatic friends said that's done away with. They got these women preachers.
Come on.
Look like Hollywood whores. Preaching. Well, that's Brother Hyles. That was for Paul's day. That's done away with. Okay, then the God that always makes it stricter. If a woman can't speak in church, let's make it stricter and don't let her come to church. Let's have a nursery for women. Come to church in the morning, take your baby and put the baby in the nursery, then go to the room next door, put your wife there. They give you a little tag that has the right number. When church is over, go back and claim your wife. Some of you guys trade tags to somebody else. Some of you guys that lose your tag wouldn't go back to the nursery. I'm trying to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that the old-time fundamentalists are right and the new left-wing crowd's wrong. I'm trying to tell you that the old-fashioned separatists are right, and we're not only saying go down the old path, we're saying go farther down the old path. So, some of you fellows, well, it's all done away with. When are you going to start your nursery for women?
Come on.
That's right.
Just let men go to church. Have woman sit with your wife. Have some church lady sitters. Just have telephones in there so they can gossip all the time during the service. The church will go back and get them. Now you listen to me. My God said it's a shame for a woman to speak in a church. A woman ought to keep silence in the churches, and that's what God means. And if God ever changes it, God will not go against his nature by changing it to something less. He'll add more of the old and make it stricter. So, let's agree that if he's with Mr. Clinton and the President of the United States, his wife Hillary, let's agree that Mr. Carter and Mr. Clinton both have said the same thing. Ephesians 5:22 and 5:24 that says that the woman's supposed to be a subjection to her own husband and submission to her own husband. Let's agree with them that's done away with. Okay, then if the God that did away with, that gave something new, when he said, the old said you couldn't kill, the new says you can't lust, the old said you couldn't, or hate, the old said you couldn't commit adultery, the new said you couldn't lust, the old said a mile, the new said two, the old said a coat, the new said you cloak also, the old said eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, the new said turn the other cheek. The God that always makes it stricter and takes you farther down the old, then that means that if a woman's, if it's done away with, that means the woman is going to have to be more honored, than according to the old, than the old was. So instead of obeying your husband, maybe you ought to bow before him. Allah. If you like that, ERA hussies. I wish some of you folks could know the old timers. Fellow said, you do fundamentalists, calling ladies hussies. You're born so late you don't know anything. I was preaching with Dr. John Rice in Rochester Hills, Michigan. Right before he preached, a female got up to sing a solo who had a skirt on about 6 or 8 inches above her knee. When she got through singing, Dr. John R. Rice stood up and said, well, now that that hussy is through singing, I'll try to preach. So what you do is you whitewash the sepulchres of the men that are dead and crucify the men that like them. So if we're going to not submit ourselves to our own husbands, we've got to go farther than that. So let's agree that exposing the thigh is now okay. The Old Testament prophet said that exposing the thigh was considered nudity.
Right.
The only person supposed to see the thigh of Beverly Joyce Hyles is Jack Hyles.
Amen.
Right.
And that means that David Hyles is not supposed to see his mother's thigh.
Right. Amen.
The only mixed women I believe in is husband and wife.
Yes, that's right. Amen.
I don't believe in teenage girls mixed women with their daddies.
Amen.
That's good.
And if you pastor a church the size of mine and dealt with as many men as I do that have tried to commit incest with their daughters. One man in our church, he's not in our church anymore, bless God, but he came to me and admitted that he got bored a hole in the wall of his closet so he could see through to his daughter's bedroom so he could see her dressing and undressing. That's going on all across America. Well, you say, well, I didn't know that. Well, trust us. You sit with the house. That's done away with. It's done away with. You're not supposed to expose your thigh. Let's go back to our premise. Everything that God has ever done away with, He's added more of the same.
Yes,
and the new has always been stricter than the old.
Right.
So I guess we better go swim in overcoats.
Right.
Over our long flannels. And under a blanket.
Yes, sir.
Now you listen to me. Why don't you just admit that the reason that you're trying to do away with the old is because you haven't got the courage to stand for the old. You're trying to build your church with more members because, and I'll tell you another thing too, you don't build churches, bless God, that stay straight on changing your conviction.
Yes,
look at the Catholic Church. Back on it when they said they're nuns, you got to wear dresses down to your knees, your ankles, you got to cover your ankles. And back on when the Catholic people said you can't marry anybody that's not a Catholic, I didn't agree with them, but at least they stood for something and they flourished. But now that they've dropped their standards and changed their convictions, we're buying their buildings all over America to build Baptist churches in. Hyles Anderson College is on a campus that was owned by the Catholics that died because they lost their distinctives. So, let's agree that the Bible says woman having long hair is over. Let's agree that that's done away with. Well, the God that always extends the old when He gives the new, and the God who says the new is simply an extension of the old and going farther down the old road, that God then would make the hair longer if it came new than the hair is now.
Right.
Now, you ladies that have your hair tapered in the back ought to ask God to forgive you.
Right.
I'm not mad at you. And you can't come down. If men have long hair, they can go down, get right with God, go get a haircut, and come back tonight and be okay. You ladies can't do that. And I feel sorry for you. You can't go get you a wig.
That's good.
But whatever it is, if a woman, if it's done away with, it's stricter than it was before. Every time I preach in a conference, I try to preach one sermon to the individual heart, like I did last night. I try to preach one sermon that's sort of a State of the Union sermon, one sermon that's sort of a positional sermon, if you please. That's what I'm doing this morning. I want you to know that the fact that I didn't preach all this stuff last night doesn't mean I don't believe it. And I want you to know this morning that fundamentalism is dying in America because we're swallowing the wooden nickel that the New Evangelicals and Southern Baptists have tried to tell us. And they tried to tell us that that's not for us. Well, you check my God and everything that my God said that ever done away with. He substituted the same thing plus more of the same thing. And God never gave people that had more life less responsibility. More life you've got, the more responsibility you have. And we have more life than any generation has ever had in the history of mankind. And that means that we're more responsible than any nation in history of mankind. So I think I'll just take the new, which is just more of the old.
Say the same thing you've been saying all along. Ooh, somebody else doing it too.
That's right.
That is great. Boy, I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you taking. I'm gonna let our ladies slip out if they would.